It's the nuts and bolts of Monday Night Raw. Well, howdy, 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 fans. This is Old T Voeltz with your nuts and bolts as we go over the results of the Money in the Bank. Wait a minute, that's not right. No, that's not right. This is the nuts and bolts of Monday Night Raw. That's right, the flagship show. And we're going to get right into it. Right off the bat, we got some good news. Some really good news. Thanks to all the positive feedback we've been getting from all of you. The powers that be at OneWrestling.com said, you know what, T Voeltz, you're doing such a great job lately. We're getting all this positive feedback. You're on your own this week. Do what you want. Keep up the good work. That's right. I got the OneWrestling.com seal of approval. Sky's the limit from here, baby. You, me, together. What a combination. That's right. Now, the bad news is, because of all this positive feedback, thanks to you, they have been working me to the bone. That's right, the people at OneWrestling.com have got me burning the midnight oil. Luckily, that's okay. I'm here for you. You and me together, boom, mega powers, baby. Okay, not the mega powers, but one heck of a combination. Hey, stick around for later. We're going to get to that top 10 that everybody loves as compiled by Superboy and the rest of the staff here. So stick around later on for that official top 10. Let's get started. Monday Night Raw starts out hot with the big dog in the yard, Roman Reigns, as he hits the ring. And you know what he says? I can't be beat. And he says a lot of other things. And quite frankly, Roman Reigns was coming across pretty arrogant here at the beginning of Monday Night Raw this week. And he says that I'm the #1 contender. Who is he kidding? He didn't win the Fatal 5-Way back at Extreme Rules. Samoa Joe did win it, but he says, I'm the #1 contender, and at SummerSlam, I don't care who wins at Great Balls of Fire, they are going to be mine. Well, he also says some guy named Joe is taking on Brock Lesnar. Some guy named Joe? That's right, Samoa Joe. This brings out Samoa Joe, and Samoa Joe says, you know what, Roman Reigns, you may have beat a lot of people, but you never beat me. Well, Reigns says that he isn't Samoa Joe, he's just Joe. Can you believe he would say that? He brought up, how about the fact that last week, or a week or two, within the last 2 weeks, Paul Heyman called him the black sheep of the Samoan clan. He said that about Samoa Joe. Apparently, Roman Reigns is jumping on that same bandwagon as Paul Heyman. Can you believe that? They are really getting personal here, just calling him Joe instead of Samoa Joe. Now, Roman Reigns, as you know, comes from that very, very famous Samoan family, and he's also agreeing with Paul Heyman, saying that Samoa Joe is the black sheep of the Samoans. Getting pretty personal here. Well, Samoa Joe does not stand for this, and he assaults Roman Reigns. That's right, he's not much for talking, and that's why we love him. He attacks Roman Reigns, but Reigns does block the Coquina Clutch, and this thing ends in a stalemate between the two. Hot start to Monday Night Raw. Whew. Next up, our first matchup of the night, we have the Hardy Boys going against Anderson and Gallows. This is what we saw in this matchup. We saw Hardy Boys making quick tags and double team moves that they're known for, and it was versus the viciousness and the power of Anderson and Gallows. This was a fast-paced match and it ended with a twist of fate, bam, and a swanton, whoop, by the Hardy Boys as they walk away with the victory. Next up, we have a director's chair message from Goldust as he challenges R-Truth next week. Next up, I got a question for you. That's right. Who wants to walk with Elias? I'll tell you who doesn't. Finn Balor. That's right. Finn Balor returned. Finally, after being gone for 2 weeks, Finn Balor made his return. This was enough for Elias to drift away out of the ring. Hey, when we're back, we have Finn Balor still in the ring taking on Bo Dallas, who we haven't seen in quite some time. And quite frankly, Bo Dallas was sporting a darker look. And along with that darker look, he was wearing, if you notice, some mulligan boots. That's right. This guy is in the mulligan bloodline. He is the son of this guy right here. That's right. Mike Rotunda of the Mulligan family. So if you notice, Bo Dallas had the boots on, which many of those wrestlers, Barry Windham and others, wore when they were in the ring. Hey, this was a competitive but short match. Coup de grace for the victory for Balor. From there, we had Corey Graves again called away from the commentary booth and causing Angle to end his phone call to talk to Corey Graves, but then it turned into Enzo and Cass interrupting, and they talked about all their individual issues that were going on. So a lot of things going on. After there, we had Seth Rollins, and he was in the ring talking about making the cover from 2K18. Now, I talked to someone earlier who was a very long time close personal friend with Seth Rollins, and he said, you know what, this might just be a video game, but this is a big deal. And he's right. The cover of a worldwide distributed WWE 2K video game, and Seth Rollins made the cover. So this is a big deal, and Seth Rollins was very proud of it, and that's what he's letting his friends know, and that's what that friend let me know. Anyways, Bray Wyatt comes out and disrupts them, and this turns into a back and forth verbally until eventually we get a brief physical ... dive from Seth Rollins on Bray Wyatt outside the ring, causing a significant gash in the face of Seth Rollins. Good thing he's already had that photo shoot for the cover of that video game, because now he's going to have a big old scar on the side of his face. Hey guys, don't try this at home. From there, we have an interview backstage with Finn Balor, and guess what happens? Guess what happens? That's right, Elias Sampson jumps in and attacks Finn Balor from behind. This was huge. Why is this huge? Because Finn Balor is a big star, and Elias Sampson took him out. I've told you, watch for continued big things from Elias Sampson. We'll see where he ends up on the top 10 this week later on, so stick around for that top 10 later in the show. Anyways, here was something that I noticed about this segment. Guess who the agent was, apparently, that jumped in and stopped this attack? Devon Dudley. Has he transitioned into the agent role? And are we just supposed to not acknowledge the fact that this is Devon Dudley there? Former multi-time tag team champion all over the world, and now he's an agent? Isn't it weird when the wrestlers transition into that role and nothing is really said about it, and we're just supposed to act like no big deal? I remember the first time we saw Mike Rotunda back here show up as an agent. We're just supposed to act like, hey, isn't that IRS? Isn't that crazy? Anyways, out with the old, in with the new, as they say. From there, we have 205 Live type competition as Akira Tozawa takes on TJP. Now, I've been very hard on TJP, but I'm starting to let up on the guy just a little bit. Well, anyways, that wasn't the only thing going on in this matchup. Titus O'Neil was announcing the combatants for the matchup, and he put extra emphasis when he announced Tozawa, because he wants him to join the Titus brand. This is what we saw in this matchup. Sorry. We saw the experience of TJP. That's right. TJP has a lot of experience, and he showed it in this match. And it was versus the quick movements and the lightning strikes of Tozawa. Next, Neville comes out to watch. So now we got Neville watching. We got Titus O'Neil there. We saw a suicide dive from Tozawa. There's our suicide dive count at 1. Anyways, Akira Tozawa gains the pinfall after a top rope senton and a hand raised by Titus. That's right. And then after all of that, Neville gets on the mic and calls out Tozawa and others. Whew, a lot going on in that matchup. Next, we had a backstage segment with GM Kurt Angle questioning the greatest tag team since the Scarbonis. That's right. The Revival was there and looked like they were dressed for action. My fingers were crossed. Next, we saw R-Truth accepting Goldust Challenge for next week, so we'll see what happens next week. Next, we're backstage again, and Curtis Axel is consoling Bo Dallas after his loss earlier in the night until the Intercontinental Champion, The Miz, shows up, and he asks them to join him in an entourage. I gotta say, I started getting excited. Number one, I like the idea of a faction, and I like the idea of a faction using the second and third generation wrestlers, Curtis Axel and Bo Dallas. Heck, they're both third generation. Why aren't these guys being used more significantly? Maybe this is the start of something. And join them up with The Miz, who has all the charisma, the gift of the gab, and the Intercontinental title around his waist. Mr. Perfect is smiling up above. And so is Blackjack Mulligan. Hey, up next, we had Samoa Joe in an interview, and I thought, okay, this is great. He's talking about the main event happening later in the night. Nope, this turns into the main event matchup happening right now. We're just, 2 hours into Monday Night Raw, and this match is happening already? I couldn't believe it. That's right. We have Roman Reigns, the big dog in the yard, versus Samoa Joe already. Unbelievable. Well, I'll tell you what, the crowd couldn't believe it either, and they were into this match like no other the entire night. No one appeared to have the strength advantage between these two behemoths, these two strong men. This was a very physical matchup between Joe and Reigns. Both withstood a ton of punishment. In fact, Roman Reigns hit a spear on Samoa Joe. Luckily, he rolled out of the ring, and he was waiting on Samoa Joe to get back in the ring when we hear beep, 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 beep. I'm backing up. No, it wasn't me backing up. It was an ambulance backing up in the stage. And guess who came out of the ambulance? Braun Strowman is back. That's right, Braun Strowman came out, and it was enough to distract Roman Reigns for Samoa Joe to clutch Roman Reigns in the coquina clutch. Reigns was out of it. Can you believe it? The arm dropped. He was out. The coquina clutch put Roman Reigns to sleep, and Samoa Joe just got a clean victory in the middle of the ring over the big dog in the yard, Roman Reigns. Can you believe it? The internet's going crazy over this one. And why shouldn't they? Samoa Joe is making a huge impact. Well, he gets out of there, and guess who comes out? From the ambulance, that's right, Braun Strowman, back on Monday Night Raw, and he slams down Roman Reigns, and he challenges Roman Reigns to an ambulance match at the next Raw brand event called Great Balls of Fire. Lo, la, 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 la. Okay, that's not how the song goes, but no danger of me doing any trademark infringement there. That's going to be a huge matchup. Braun Strowman back already. What happened to 6 months? Who cares? He's back and I'm loving it. Okay, from here we had Miz TV, and right away the first thing you notice is there's two. That's right, count them. Two Miz Bears in the ring. One in one corner, one in the other. Is it Nick Hausman? Is it Adam Pearce? Is it both of them? There's two Miz Bears, and there's also a big box in the middle of the ring. Is it Cactus Jack? Oh my goodness. Is it Abdul the Butcher? Is it Jim Cornette? Who knows? Anytime there's a big box involved, something's going to happen, right? Not exactly. Ambrose does come out after the Miz is in the middle of a very heartfelt apology to his wife Maurice, who has been on the receiving end of some unfortunate things the last few weeks because the Miz keeps thinking that Ambrose is here, he's in the box, he's there. No, the Miz has carefully, meticulously put this grandfather clock back together that Maurice had given him as a gift and that he destroyed because, well, by accident. Kind of like on the Christmas Story when he meticulously puts that leg lamp back together and then it falls all apart. That's what ends up happening here, because Ambrose comes out, interrupts, Maurice gets the drink, not in the drink, but the drink all over her. She's very upset, and the grandfather clock gets destroyed again. That's right, because the Miz goes to take out everybody, and he ends up taking out the grandfather clock. It's ruined. Guess who left very upset again? The Miz's wife, Maurice. Oh, crocodile tears on my face. Okay, from here, he somehow, and by he I mean the Miz, avoids dirty deeds but gets a clothesline to the out of the ring. And so there's Dean Ambrose standing tall in the ring, and then the Miz Bear, not one, not two, attack him. Why the heck are the Miz Bears attacking him? Why are Nick Hausman and Adam Pearce attacking Dean Ambrose? Because it's not Nick Hausman and it's not Adam Pearce. It's none other than Curtis Axel and Bo Dallas. Are they joining up with Dean Ambrose? Or, are they joining up with the Miz and his entourage? Or is this just the beginning of the Paw Patrol of WWE? I hope it's the first one. Skull-crushing finale by the Miz, and they're all standing there together. The Miz in the middle, and his entourage of, okay, they were still in the bear outfit, but their helmets were off, of Curtis Axel and Bo Dallas. Forget about the bear outfits. Finally, something is being done with these third-generation superstars. I'm excited about this entourage. We'll see what happens going forward from here. Okay, next up we saw a brief segment of Angle questioning the Big Show, because early in the show he promised, tonight I'm going to solve this mystery. What mystery? The Who Shot JR. Okay, not JR. Who beat up Enzo, and then who beat up Cass, and then who beat them up again. He's going to solve it tonight. Next, we have a tag team match between Apollo Crews and the Titus Brand, finally teaming up. I think, hey, let's team these guys up into a tag team, playa. That's what we got as they took on the tag team champions, Cesaro and Sheamus. They are the Bar, remember? Alright, this was an athletic match between all four competitors, very athletic in this match. The crowd, unfortunately, was a little tired by this point. Remember, Monday Night Raw is 3 hours, baby. The crowd was a little bit tired, but this is how we saw a finisher. We saw a very impressive double team maneuver by the tag team champions. Cesaro came off the top, and Sheamus had him in, I can't even remember the name of the move right now, let me know. Off the top rope. It was kind of like a demolition move, a heart attack, a hard foundation move, but it was really none of those. Okay, Cesaro came off the top as Sheamus was holding the other guy. They get the pinfall victory. This was a very bad start for the tag team, Titus Brand. Next, we had Alexa Bliss, and she was commentating a match between Sasha Banks and Nia Jax until Emma quickly, early on, we're talking minutes into the match, chases Bliss into the ring, causing a disqualification. Other female talent join in, and then Bayley hits the ring to a pretty good ovation. And notice she was wearing an NXT t-shirt on Monday Night Raw. Unbelievable. Bayley was wearing an NXT t-shirt on Monday Night Raw. Well, she cleans house for a little bit. She takes over briefly until Nia Jax regains her footing, and then she takes out a few. And then this just kind of ended. This was a mess. I mean, what was this? This wasn't even a Pier 6 brawl. This was just a big cluster. And this was pretty much it for the female wrestlers on Monday Night Raw in this particular week. Hey, remember when I promised you that top 10? Let's get to it. Hot off the presses. Thank you, sir. I want to thank all my staff, especially Superboy, who kind of heads up the staff that One Wrestling has been gracious enough to give to me. They kind of compile the results, they type it up for me together, they give me a couple versions, and then I have to put my stamp, my official stamp of approval. That's right, this Raw TV, the TV stands for Voeltz, top 10 of Monday Night Raw is approved by me. Number 10, Bray Wyatt was not in action this week, but was on television. Number 9, making his return, Braun Strowman. Why is he number 9? You talk about an impact. This guy interrupted what was the main event matchup of the night, and then he slammed the big dog in the yard and challenged him. Number 8, Elias Sampson continuing to climb the top 10. If you've been paying attention each week, this guy has been climbing the top 10. Watch for continued big things. This week, he took out the one and only Finn Balor. Hey, number 7, Seth friggin' Rollins, cover boy for WWE 2K18. And he took out Bray Wyatt outside the ring in that big ... dive. And number 6 is Finn Balor, who got that victory over Bo Dallas at the beginning of Monday Night Raw. Number 5, Ambrose, who got attacked by the Paw Patrol. Just kidding. He got attacked by what may be the new entourage on Monday Night Raw. Number 4, Intercontinental Champion, The Miz, who might be heading up that entourage and did that skull-crushing finale on Dean Ambrose. Number 3, the big dog in the yard, who returned this week, Roman Reigns, but he did go to sleep from the coquina clutch. That's why he's number 3. Number 2, who we saw making his presence felt on the microphone and the commentating desk. That's right, the seemingly unstoppable King of the Cruisers, the champion, the Cruiserweight champion, Neville. That, of course, leads us to the definitive, the undisputed number 1 contender to the Universal title, Samoa Joe. And then, of course, our Universal Champion is Brock Lesnar. More on that in here in just a minute. Hey, guess what, guys? Guess what we had next? We had Who Shot JR? Just kidding. Who took out Enzo and Big Cass? That's right, we have the GM, Kurt Angle, playing Sherlock Holmes. He's out in the ring. He says, I have the answers. And guess what? He's joined by the, who we think are the victims of these incidences, Enzo and Big Cass. And then the Revival is brought out. Finally, the Revival is back on Monday Night Raw, and they were geared up, ready for action. Unfortunately, we do not see any action from them. Maybe those in attendance that night did, and maybe a dark match or a non-televised match, if you will. Sorry, a live-only matchup. If you did, if you know about who they faced, if that is the case, because it looked like they were dressed for action, let me know in the comment box right here on our YouTube page. Let me know. Hey, otherwise, hit me up on the Twitter. Hit me up on the Twitter. I want to know if the Revival, that's right, the greatest tag team since the Scarbonis. Boy, do they remind me of these guys. Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard. I love the Revival. Anyways, he brings them out, and then they bring out the Big Show too. Well, first he clears the Big Show. He says, you know what, Big Show, it wasn't you. Or sorry, he brought them out second. No, he cleared the Big Show first, and then he cleared the Revival. It was none of these guys. Who done it? It's a case of who done it. Well, Corey Graves stands up. Corey Graves, again, what is with this guy? He seems to know everything, and tonight was no different. He stands up from way over at the commentating desk and says, you know what, Big Cass? I talked to the WWE trainers, and you had no lumps on the back of your head like you claimed. And he also brings up the fact that when you were not cleared to compete, you competed anyways. And then, the hand in the cookie jar moment, that's right. He plays the security footage, and it shows Big Cass setting items around as if he had been attacked, and then laying down after kicking a box full of equipment to make it sound like a big loud noise, and then laid down. Big Cass faked it. As soon as that security footage was shown, Enzo turns around and he faces his best friend, Big Cass. And Big Cass grabs that microphone and says, "You dang right I did it." Unbelievable. Boy, was I wrong. Big Cass, his best friend, says he did it. From here he goes into a tirade towards Enzo, to the fact when the camera zoomed in on Enzo, tears, real tears. Why would Enzo be crying, this grown man be crying? Because this is his best friend. These guys have traveled up and down the road, week in and week out, for years. You talk about sharing time together, getting to know each other. They were together more than they were with their families. This guy was like a brother, not by blood, but as close as it gets without being a twin brother from the womb. and it was Big Cass the whole time. And he has Enzo in tears over this. And you know what Big Cass says? You know what he said about Enzo? You're dead weight. And then you know what he did next? The big boot to the face of Enzo. Unbelievable. How despicable. Can you believe Big Cass stabbing his best friend in the back? And he did it in such a dirty way. Why didn't he just say, hey, let's go on our own. Let's try being singles competitors. No, he has to pull all this cloak and dagger stuff and then to say the things he was saying in the ring. It was disgusting is what it was. I was disgusted. I could barely watch. And this is how the show went off the air this week. Hey, now it's time for that segment called The Good, The Bad, and The Wah 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 Ugly. That's right. Doo-loo-loo, wah wah wah. Doo-loo-loo, wah wah wah. That's right, it's the good, the bad, and the ugly. Here's the good. The beginning, when Reigns and Joe had that confrontation, that was phenomenal and a really good open to our Monday Night Raw this week. Also was good, Braun Strowman being back. This guy is a huge star already, and I just see continued big things for this. Good to see him back in the fold on Monday Night Raw. Also, Axel and Dallas being used. That was great. I love these third generation superstars, and I'm glad to see that something's finally happening with them on Raw. They didn't have to go to SmackDown. They could stay right on Raw and something's being done with them. And also the other good news, as unfortunate as it was, as disgusting as it was, as despicable, low down as it was, at least the mystery of who shot JR, who knocked out Enzo, because Big Cass wasn't really knocked out, who knocked out Enzo has finally been solved, and unfortunately it was Big Cass. That was the good news. The bad news is that Tozawa match had too much going on. This could have been a much, in the ring it was good, but there was just too much going on with the Titus brand, with Neville. There was just too much going on. Let's keep this a little bit simpler, please. Some other bad news was this Roman Reigns and Samoa Joe match. Why is that bad news? Because, guys, this could headline WrestleMania. This could headline, excuse me, this could headline SummerSlam. But no, we got it on Monday Night Raw. Hey, it is the flagship program of the WWE, and I am proud to be the one that gets to bring to you the results of the flagship program of the WWE. Anyways, it is a flagship show, but hey, let's save a match like that for a big event like SummerSlam or the Royal Rumble or WrestleMania. Anyways, and the other bad news, how about the female wrestlers on Monday Night Raw? What is going on with that division? They were just thrown in this big cluster that lasted a few minutes. Does not bode well for the female revolution as far as the Raw brand goes. Hey guys, that's it for the good, the bad, and the wah 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 ugly for this week. And that leaves only one more thing. Time to discuss what's going to happen next week. That's right, next week. They announced that not only is Samoa Joe going to be there, but also the Universal Champion. That's right, Brock Lesnar. Yeah, I love it, baby. Brock Lesnar, Samoa Joe in the same place next week. Can you believe it, brother? I hope he takes him and he breaks him in half like this. That's right, just like Thunder Lips did, baby. Just like Thunder Lips promised he was going to do. He was going to break him in half like this. Thanks for joining me this week on the Nuts and Volts of Monday Night